Watch this, gentlemen, very quickly. In fact, that's everyone. Watch this. 3 questions, 3 technical terms. First one, median. Question might say, find, I should have put ABC on all these triangles, but it doesn't matter. Find the equation of the median through point C. Okay, let's just do that. We'll make point C this guy down here for each triangle. First question, find the equation of the median through point C. Okay, so it's testing, do you know what median is? Okay, what is median? Middle number. Yeah, middle number when you put the numbers in a line, but that's great. It's the line that goes...
It's the line that joins the vertex of a triangle to the midpoint of the opposite side.
Oh yes, Mr. Newbury, yeah, it is. It is. Marvellous. It is the line that joins the vertex to the midpoint of the opposite side. So, for you, Mr. Newbury, I'm going to go for this nice pink dotted line here. And this is sort of it. Oh, actually, that's horrible. Let's go back to... so we'll go for this guy here. And that's near enough. The median goes from C and it crosses at the midpoint. So clearly for this question we need to work out what the midpoint is using the midpoint rule. Okay, the average, we work out the midpoint, and once we've got the midpoint and point C, we've got 2 points, work out the gradient, use the equation rule, there it is. So that's a midpoint question. The second question that you can get is, what is a perpendicular bisector? Now, perpendicular, okay, perpendicular bisector. Bisector means splits the side into 2 equal bits. Perpendicular means crosses it at right angles. So if we're going to draw that one, then our line would look like perpendicular bisector, also the midpoint, but it would go through there somewhere. Point C's got nothing to do with the perpendicular bisector unless the triangle is isosceles, i.e. got some symmetry. But perpendicular bisector goes through the middle, so we need the midpoint again, but this time the gradient is at right angles to the gradient of that side that it crosses. So what do? We work out the gradient, do that, flip it over and change the sign thing to get the gradient of this. Gradient, 1 point, away we go. So perpendicular bisector, clearly it means what it says, perpendicular and splits it in half. And the last one is the altitude one. In fact, we just did the altitude one. The altitude is...
So the perpendicular bisector doesn't go through a point in the triangle?
It would if the triangle was symmetrical, like an isosceles triangle, but normally no. So it doesn't involve point C. And the last question is that guy there. What is the altitude passing through C? The altitude means it meets the base at right angles. It meets at right angles. Oh, that's good. That's nice and pink. So it meets at right angles, but it actually passes through one of the points, one of the corners. So that guy here is called an altitude, and this is called a perpendicular bisector, and this guy here is called a median. And for each of these 3 things, they require different sort of intermediate calculations. Median is a midpoint. Yeah. Perpendicular, though, the difference with this one is it's not only at right angles, which is that guy, but it's through the midpoint. So we actually work out both the midpoint and the gradient of the perpendicular line. Whereas this one, we've got one of the points, so all we need is the gradient of the perpendicular. Okay? So those three are very, very common questions for merit because they require roughly the same amount of work and it requires 2 or 3 steps, culminating, always culminating in this guy, y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. Because each of the questions says find the equation of. And that means we are going to come back to this guy every single time. Okay? So this exercise, I want you to carry on with page 235. 235, yeah. And we should be looking at doing many of these, 4 onwards, just one after the other, because they're all slightly different, but they're all good questions.